NCCER Intermediate Rigging Ed 3 Wire Rope Exam Chew. Minimum Breaking Strength. Also referred to as minimum breaking force. The documented breaking strength of a wire rope product established under set industry testing procedures. A fabricated socket, poured or swagged, has an efficiency rating of 100%. Which of the factors below increases a non-rotation resistant rope's tendency to twist in the opposite direction of the lay? Increasing the load on the rope. Crossover points. Per 29 CFR 1926.1401, specific locations where a wire rope layer spooled on a drum must climb up and cross over the previous layer. Underscore 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 are located at each end of the drum at its flanges, where the rope must change direction to continue spool ing onto the drum. The mathematical relationship between the pitch diameter of the sheave and the rope diameter is referred to as the D/D ratio. Rotation, resistant wire rope. Wire rope constructed with inner and outer strands placed in opposing lays, rather than using the same lay in both layers. This causes the torque of the strand layers to oppose each other, significantly reducing the tendency to twist. Dead end. The excess wire rope exposed after a termination has been properly fitted. This part of the wire rope is not exposed to the strain applied by a load to the wire rope. Speltered. To be attached with molten zinc or a zinc alloy. The term spelter is considered a synonym for zinc. Flange points. Per 29 CFR 1926.1401, points where the wire rope contacts the drum flanges at each end. Pitch diameter. The diameter of the sheave measured at its root where the bottom of the wire rope makes contact as it travels over. The underscore 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 represents the size of the circle formed by the bottom of the 360 degrees around the sheave rope if it traveled. Core. The axial part at the center of wire rope around which the individual strands are laid, which OSHA defined category of wire rope deficiencies is considered the most significant, meaning that the rope must either be replaced or the damaged section cut off, regardless of manufacturer input. Category 3. A proper fit between a wire rope and a sheave results in the sheave supporting the wire rope through 120 to 150 degrees of the rope's circumference. When assembling a wedge socket on running rope, the tail length of the dead end should be at least 6 rope diameters but not less than 6. Pendants. Fixed lengths of rope with mechanical fittings at each end. Wire. A single, continuous length of metal, usually cold, drawn or cold, rolled from a rod, available in various diameters. What is the key factor in the construction of rotation-resistant wire rope? The lay of the inner strands is opposite of the lay of the outer strands. The 4 basic strand patterns are wire, Warrington, filler wire, and seal. Which wire rope below is made from the weaker type of steel, based on the following label information? 1100 feet 5/8 6x37 WS Pref RRL PSI WRC, seizing. The securing of an open end of wire rope by wrapping wire tightly around its circumference several times. This action prevents fraying and unraveling of the wire rope. This preparation is used on both sides of a planned wire rope cut. Preformed wire rope. A wire rope constructed of strands that were formed into the helical shape they would assume once placed in the rope, before the rope was assembled. If you are directed to overwind a right, lay rope wood onto a drum, you secure the rope on the left side of the drum and wind left to right. Strand patterns. The various configurations of the wires used to form a strand. The four basic underscore 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 are wire, seal, Warrington and filler wire. Which of the following rope terminations have an efficiency rating of less than 100%? Thimble with wire rope clips. Damaged flanges on a sheave can cause the wire rope to jump out of the groove. Swagged. A connection made by forming metal, usually with a die or shaped tool, to change the diameter. A underscore 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 wire rope connection is made by reducing the diameter of the socket around the rope. Lay. In the context of wire rope, the underscore 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 describes the direction of rotation of the strands in a wire rope assembly. Before cutting rotation-resistant wire rope, this should be seized at least rope 3 times on each side of the cut. Lay length. The distance measured parallel to the axis of the rope or strand in which a strand or wire makes one complete revolution around the core or center. Constructional stretch. The stretching that occurs in wire rope when it is initially placed in service, during its break-in period. Underscore 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 is expected in all wire ropes. Underscore 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 in standard ropes is generally 0.25 to 1% of the rope's length. Birdcaging. A term used to describe the condition where wire rope is forced into compression along its length, pushing the outer strands away from the core end slash or inner strands, forming a shape that resembles a underscore 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 underscore. The OSHA standards require that a wire rope, or section thereof, be removed from service if the diameter is reduced in size by 5%. Running ropes. Wire ropes that move over sheaves and slash or drums. Monel. A trademarked metal alloy made primarily from nickel and copper, with small amounts of other materials added. Underscore 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 is resistant to corrosion initiated by a number of common sources, including seawater, and is an expensive material. The D/D ratio is used to determine whether a sheave size is appropriate for the rope diameter. Preformed strand. A strand constructed of wires that were formed into the helical shape they would assume once placed in the strand, before the strand was assembled. What type of lay is indicated when the strands are wrapped around the core to the right but the outer wires in each strand are running parallel to the wire rope itself? Right regular lay. Filler wire. Small wire used to create spacers within a strand that help hold the position and support the other strand wires. Independent wire rope core, IWRC. A wire rope used as the axial center, core, of a larger wire rope assembly. When a wedge socket or similar termination is said to have an efficiency of 80%, it means that the completed assembly has 80% of the rope's minimum breaking strength. The three parts of a wire rope are the wire, the strands, and the core. The easiest method for determining the number of parts of line needed for a lift is to check the crane load chart. Repetitive pickup points. Per 29 CFR 1926.1401, refers to the sections of a rope where short cycle operations cause it to be repeatedly spooled on and off a small portion of the drum. Fiber core, FC. A cord or rope of natural or synthetic fiber used as the axial center, core, of a wire rope. Wire strand core, WSC. Used as the axial center, core, member of a wire rope. Allowing a load to stop suddenly during lifting or lowering, resulting in the load bouncing up and down on the rope, is one cause of birdcaging. Design factor. The ratio of a wire rope's minimum breaking strength to the maximum load expected to be applied. Typical wire rope core types are fiber core FC, wire strand core, WSC, and independent wire rope core, IWRC. A break in a single wire that, when closely examined, has a tapered appearance with one tip cup-shaped, concave, while the other tip is cone-shaped, convex, is likely the result of loads that exceeded its tensile strength, I.E. stretched to failure. ASME standard B30.5 prohibits overfilling of a drum with wire rope by specifying that the drum flange must extend past the top layer of rope by 1/2, 127 mm. Fatigue fractures. Progressive fractures resulting from the repeated bending of individual wires. These fractures may occur at bending stress levels well below the ultimate strength of the material. Lack of lubrication and rest on a wire rope can accelerate fatigue fractures. Strands. A single grouping of round or shaped wires laid helically around a core or center wire. A wire rope assembly for lifting purposes is typically a collection of ________________________ around a common core. Live section. Any part of a wire rope that is exposed to the load weight.